everyone. My name is Madame Famita, and I want to welcome you to our little Instagram live interview series that we'll be sharing up on YouTube and over on TikTok called Meet My Familiar. Today we're interviewing Jamie Sawyer, and I'm so excited. And while you're waiting for me to pull up Jamie, who I will pull up in just a second, and have her join us here, I want to tell you a little bit about why we're doing this. I've got a new book coming out from Hay House in January 2025 called The Witch's Guide to Animal Familiars. It's a really wonderful, comprehensive book about really working. It's not like a book about like what familiars meant in the past or like theory. It's actual practical recipes and spells and rituals that you can do to create that familiar bond or deepen that familiar bond, even discover your familiars, find your familiars, working with familiars that have passed on, gone over the rainbow bridge to the other side. So this is what we're going to be promoting and talking about. I want to let you guys know that it's super important for authors. What's super important for authors are pre-orders. This book is coming out in January, but I have some really juicy bonuses that I'm going to be giving out over the next few months for everyone that pre-orders. So if you pre-order now, and I'll tell you how to do that. You can pre-order it now. Doesn't cost you. You don't have to pay anything. You're just sort of putting your reserve on that book. And when it does come out in January, then it will be, come to you, obviously. But if you pre-order now, right now, you're going to get a bonus of a $40 workshop that I'm hosting in January. But if you also do that, if you pre-order now and put your pre-order information in, you will also get every other bonus that comes down the line. Not only the workshop, but you'll be getting some other cool bonuses. So now is the time to pre-order. And how do you do that? You go to animalfamiliars.com or go to parlorwonders.com, and on the front page, you'll see the little button to press to pre-order. It'll tell you where you can pre-order, how you can take advantage of the bonuses, the bonus now, which is that $40 class, or bonuses going into the future. So you really want to go to animalfamiliars.com and do that right away. So while I was preparing for this book and started telling people about this book, I found the magical people in my life, my friends and colleagues, every single one of them had amazing stories to tell about their connection with the important animals in their life. And I thought, oh my gosh, people have to hear these stories. So this is how Meet My Familiar got started. And I'm so excited to be sharing this with you. So today we are meeting with, as I said, Jamie Sawyer, and talking about her familiar Barney. Jamie Sawyer is an artist who has created over 10 decks spanning through tarot, oracle, and Lenormand. She is the original creatrix of tarot tiles, which I have seen and experienced, which are gorgeous, which are wood and resin miniatures that are used in tandem with a creative divination practice. Tarot casting with multiple systems onto colorful backdrops to reveal deeper messages. Divination, she believes that divination, while serious, should also be fun and engaging. She's a professional artist who found her artistic style and voice while making a life in the world of tattooing since 2002 and living outside of societal norms all the time, of course, every day. She has been able to see the human condition in action, engaging and bearing witness, holding and sharing space while creating art. Tarot has been a huge part of Jamie's life for the greater part of this journey, but really focusing in on it for the last 12 years, weaving its lessons and symbolism into tattoos and art. She has often said that tattooing is akin to giving a tarot reading. It is energy work through indelible art. And we are going to be talking with Jamie about her sweet Barney, who I have been following. She's posted about him for a long time, and I've always looked at him with such affection. And he just passed a month ago today, so we're going to be talking with her about that process, about experiences that she had with Barney, and so on and so forth. So let me bring her in. I'm going to see here. There you go. All right, going to bring. So here comes Jamie right now. So excited to be talking about this beautiful basset hound. That's so cute. If you want to see a picture of him, you can see him on the thing. Hi, Jamie.
Hi, let me turn my camera around.
Oh my gosh. I was like, hit the ground running. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
I know
It's
you are
totally
just
okay.
you're so generous and kind and flexible and flowing. It's not going to offend you that we're
Yeah. I was like, she's on Cali time, so that means she's probably gonna be like laid back and like.
Well, too laid back. I was too laid back. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for joining us here. And thank you for letting me wing it with the beginning of our introduction.
Thank you for
Um,
having me.
oh my gosh. So I want to hear, I mean, I've been following your adventures with Barney and you've been posting about him for
Hmm.
a long time and have always loved him. He was a beautiful, and his spirit is, of course, still the Basset Hound that is a dog that my cousins had Basset Hounds. And so I know their general personalities, how gentle, how cute, how slobbery, how funny they can
They
be. And
are cartoons. They literally are like living with a cartoon. Like my
oh my,
husband and I have been talking about like the little things that we miss, and then he had some video earlier where like when Barney was little, probably like between 6 months to a year, we would joke that he would go into this like hockey player mode every night for an hour, which meant he would beat the crap out of me. Like he would come up and like just not like he wouldn't bite, he would just start hitting me if I was sitting next to Tim on the couch. So I'd get up and move couches and he'd come lay next to me. So it was like, oh, here comes his brattiness, you know.
body checking, isn't that what they call it in hockey,
Yeah,
right?
I think so. He would just, we would just be like, his gloves would come off and he would just come up and be like, I'm about to get my way, you know. It's,
I love that. Oh my
but
gosh. Oh.
he was definitely a cartoon.
So, what I want to know the story of how the two of you met. Like, how did this wonderful love affair begin?
Well, my husband wanted, we had, we had been talking about possibly welcoming a dog. Before that, we've had other dogs in our life. I've had cats and stuff, and this was our first animal together. This was in the second year of our relationship, and at the time, Tim was driving a truck. You know, he was a truck driver, and he was kind of obsessed with Smokey and the Bandit. So he was like, "I would like a Basset Hound," and I'm like, I could do a Basset Hound because I always had pit bulls. You know, I used to do like advocacy for pit bulls. I still advocate for them, but like I was really active in a group called Pinups for Pit Bulls for a couple years. And so for me, I was like a Basset Hound, you know, I'm like, that's gonna be a little okay. And so when we went to get him, we knew he was 12 weeks old and we had no idea, like in my eyes, a 12-week-old puppy is small. So we get there, and here comes this slinky of a dog that's 27 pounds. And I just started laughing. Like, I started cracking up. I was like, that is him? Like, and just watching him bounce around, like his head would go and then his tail end would go back. And I would just crack up because I was like, how is this a real thing? And his ears, he would trip over his ears and his feet were too big. It was like, the Basset Hound personality was, you know, when the divine was handing out animal parts, they showed up last. So they've got ears of a dog that should be like 6 feet tall and like, you know, feet of a dog that should also be that big, but their bodies, they actually have dwarfism. So they're,
Oh,
yeah, they like, I researched once we had them, I researched about them a little bit more. And so they have actual dwarfism. So their bones are already like deformed a little bit, and so they do tend to have like hip and joint and back issues if you're not careful, you know. Like, so Barney did suffer from like some knee issues his whole life, but it didn't really slow him down. We would adapt. We got stairs, so we bought like tack stairs, you know, like people would get for their horses.
yeah.
We had those so he could get up and down off the couch, you know, like, so you just adjust. And we still have all the stuff because I know eventually we will have another Basset Hound. I was like, you know, and it was funny because after advocating for pit bulls for so long and always being prepared when somebody's like, oh, what kind of dog do you have? And I would say, oh, well, I have a American Pit Bull Terrier, boxer mix, or, and they would go, oh, and then I'd have to sit there and explain to them why the dog is not actually the bad guy and how it's the people, and you know. And then when Barney came into our life and people would be like, oh, what kind of dog do you have? And I would say a Basset Hound. They go, oh, and I was like, that's what that's like.
Yeah, I mean, like anybody that's encountered a basset, I mean, they definitely have a personality, and
Mhm.
there's definitely something so special and unique.
Mhm.
Like my cousin's dog. Why would I even have this like wonderful attachment to Ralph, who was my cousin's dog? And
I think that's a requirement. Barney, Ralph. Um, I had
they
a
have to
client
have
who had one named Bernice. Yeah, like they have to have like an old person name, you know.
exactly. I was gonna a guy that works in a factory and is a union member. I mean that's
Exactly.
I don't even know what
It's
you
the
call
requirement.
it. Exactly. So Ralph was my basset that I was, played with when I was a kid, and he was so sweet. And you just have that, they have a very distinct, I think, have a very, very distinct personality, that
Yeah.
is unique to that breed.
Yeah.
And maybe it's the look, I don't know, but people have this great affection. They
Mhm.
seem approachable, maybe because they're little and short, and people, oh, so sweet, so
He
sweet.
he's little and short, and I had a friend tell, like, when I told her, I was like, oh, we just got a basset hound, and she was like, he's gonna be fast. She's like, don't underestimate how, like, just because he's little, like, she goes, they can move. And when he wanted to, they're in short bursts, but he could like run, he could do it. And I had a friend come over, one of my the guys I work with, and he was like, hey, and he got down little, and Barney comes running down the hallway, jumps up with both paws, and his paws could fit in my, and just got him right in the groin, and down he went. And he was like, probably good 60 pounds at that point. So it's like a wrecking ball. And to this day, he remembers Barney for, you know,
Knocking them
knocking
down.
him down. And he was just like, cause you look at him, like when people, cause I work out of my house. So now I tattoo, I have a small private studio at home. And so when my clients come, they're like, oh, do I get to meet Barney? And I would be like, yeah. And then they would
Mm,
come, and then they would go, he's so much bigger than I expected him to be. And I'm like, yeah, he's 80 pounds.
my
He's
gosh, that's a big dog.
80 pounds. He's a full size dog in a short body, like
Gosh.
he was, he could like stand up and put his paws on the counter, and then he would like do this thing where he'd put his shoulder into it, and he could get almost everywhere onto the counter if he really wanted to. Because he was long, it's like a seesaw,
Yeah.
so he would just like, whoop.
I love it. He figured it out,
He
right?
figured it out. Yeah, definitely.
Smarty
Long
pants.
dog. Yeah.
Smarty pants. So, in all this delight of play and fun, I want to know, like, what was the spiritual connection that you felt and connected to him? Whether he was, do you consider him a familiar? Do you
Oh,
consider
yeah.
him a spiritual ally? And what did that look like for you?
Well, I mean, anybody who doesn't have children and only has pets knows that there's a voice. I mean, even people who have pets and children, like, there's a voice that they have. Like, so Barney's voice would be like, hey, mom, I want this. Or he was very mean. He'd be like, mom, you better give me a piece of that fucking food. Like, he was very, like, you could hear it. And there's times where I still hear it. Being into art, he would just show up in certain things. And he showed up in my first tarot deck when I was drawing. I actually have all the cards that he's in right in front of me. So when I was drawing my moon card for Sawyer's Path, I was like, oh, I'm going to put a basset hound.
Oh my
You So we've
gosh.
got the basset here. So this is his first appearance in my art. Was there. And then, and he was very wise. Like you would say things, and it was like that intuitive voice that comes right away. You're like, okay, well, that's him. It's not me putting words in his mouth. He's literally doing that. Or like, can I go do that? Like, there was just a really deep connection there. I would look at him and be like, Barney, do you wanna? And he would just go, I know I want whatever you're gonna say after the do you wanna. There would be times where we would bring him to my in-laws' house, and we wouldn't even have to say it or start packing his to-go bags. It was almost like he knew as soon as I would get to my in-laws' house, and I would say to my mother-in-law, I say, Carol, what time did you start actively thinking about us coming over? And she would be like, oh, 11:15. And I'd be like, he started freaking out, wanting to go in the car. He doesn't like the car, but he knew that meant he was going to grandma and grandpa's. So it was like he was very in tune with things. He wasn't very vocal. Like, we were lucky in the fact that he did the Basset bray, but he only did it when there was people, like the delivery guys would show up, or but he wasn't vocal like that. So it was like he would only alert us when we really needed it. You know,
Thank
he was
God
just,
for those dogs protecting us from the
yeah.
UPS guy.
I know. But then when I drew my Lenormand deck, he showed up as the dog card because of course you have to.
Gosh, yes.
And
Oh,
that was when he was 6 months old.
oh, cutie, patootie.
Yeah. He's been in the moon card twice, and it was funny because after, not even after, like when he got sick, there was times when I would do a reading and the moon card would show up, and so I was like, okay, like but the moon has the dogs. It's that like primal instinct and stuff, and I'm like, okay, so Barney's talking to me through the moon. So in Out of Hand Tarot, he's the tattoo.
Oh my gosh, yes. You know, your psychic link with him, I've got to say, Mitchell Osborne is on
Mm-hmm.
here, and Mitchell is
I
a
love
pet
Mitch.
psychic. He's the
Yeah.
best. And he's going to
He's
be a
actually
future
read for
interview.
us. Oh, I
Oh,
can't
yeah.
wait. Yeah, he read.
Yeah.
We were having some issues with Barney. Not unruly. He was just not right. Like he'd be laying there and all of a sudden he would just jump up and kind of freak out. And so I got a session with Mitch because I was like, Mitch, I need you to tell me what's going on with Barney. And it turns out I was working too much. I was not, like he would do it because it was more like he didn't want me to kind of lose myself in the projects that I was working on and doing the things. And so we started to instill mandatory Basset breaks. And he would literally, like, when I had been sitting there for too long, he would come over and just start taking his nose and going like that to me at the art table. And he would go to the side that he doesn't normally go to and just get me to get up. And so that we would go for a walk or we would get up because I had been sitting too long. I mean, when you get in the
Yeah,
creative process, like, it'll be hours before you get up. And
exactly. I won't even get up to eat or get a cup of
no.
coffee. I'll just sit there and work and work and work. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. When I'm writing.
so when Mitch, did the reading for us, it was of course because of it's never the animal, it's the people. So
Mitchell, Mitchell's going to be on a future episode where we talk with him. He's an amazing pet psychic,
yeah.
and you can find him, Mitchell Osborne, right here. You can see him in the chat below, and you can add him, everybody, and
Yeah.
we are hopefully adding Jamie as well. So I have a super important
Yeah.
question for you in particular. Besides putting him into the tarot as a figure in that tarot, was he ever interested in doing like readings with you or any other working with the tarot as a tool? Was he ever involved in that or not involved in that?
Not really. Like I did a couple photo shoots where, for socials where he was like sitting there and he would nose it around and stuff, but it was more like he was just very food and very like his gift was to just remind me because I get too much in my head. So his gift for us was to remind us to stay in our body, to go out in nature, and to really he like towards the end he would just wanted to sit in the front yard and just look around, and we would just lay on the ground and just sit there and just be present in the now instead of always up in my head because I loop. My brain starts to just loop, and lately it's been looping a lot. So, and I know it's because he's not around to like go out and just touch grass.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, I have to remind myself. There will be days where I literally don't even leave my front door. Like I don't leave the house,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I used to leave it every day. I would walk down the driveway, like So I'm like, oh, but yeah, his connection was more like not the practical stuff, even though when I would do my tarot casting, sometimes he would get up at the most inopportune times and start walking around. And if I'm doing a video, I'd be like, and that's Barney. He's,
Get that reading grounded,
yeah,
right? You know.
yeah, get it done.
You I know it's such a tender time for
Mm-hmm,
you because you only lost him a month ago today. You said a little note to me that it's
mm-hmm,
been a month since he passed. And um, in that time after his
mm-hmm.
passing, have you had any kind of mystical experiences or had any
I,
spirit experiences?
so we had, so the day after well, let's see, like we knew he was going to pass away because he had lymphoma. And so like they said, like when you're diagnosed with lymphoma and you choose to not do chemo, he passed 3 days before his 10th birthday. So we weren't gonna put him through that. You know, he's an old dog. And they say 3 to 6 weeks is the timeline on that. And you're just like, and so in the beginning, you're like, is it today? Is it today? Is it today? And then when we realize, no, it's not today, he's going to let us know when it's today, you know, and he did. So that morning when we had to do it, that day obviously was just terrible. But that night I did dream about him and he came to me and he was in his puppy form. Yeah. So that was like, that made me feel good. And I even heard him like shake his ears because like that was one of those things. So I was like, okay, he's better. His energy's here. The next morning I look outside and I'm like, I love animals. I created a whole nature portal deck that's all sentient beings. That's like, you know, there was 6 cardinals out front, 3 males and 3 females, just sitting right, like we have some lawn furniture. And it was just, and I'm just looking at them. I'm like, normally you guys are chasing each other. They were just sitting there. And I was just like, okay. And we have had a lot of chipmunks lately that are just kind of like, they don't try and run for me when I go outside now. They're just like, oh yeah, that's the lady that leaves me seeds. Okay. You know, so it's just kind of like, and then I dreamt about him the second night too. And I don't quite remember what was going on. And I just know he was in it. Before he passed, he would always infiltrate my dreams. Cause he would normally sleep in the living room. So if I was like taking a nap on the couch or something and he was near me, I would be dreaming that our house was how it is, but it's not, you know, like in your dreams, it's like, yeah, okay, I know I'm home, but we were on the edge of a forest, which we are, but it was more of a jungle, like bigger forest. And there would be bears that would come or sometimes tigers. Only when he was infiltrating and he was there in the dream with me. And it would always be like me letting him out back on the porch and he would get to the edge and these other animals would start coming out and I would try and get him to come back in. And I couldn't, like, he would come back in the house, but I was like, okay, the cheetah is literally at the door. Like, where's, you know what I mean? And I wake up and I'm like, really? Like these wild giant critter, like bears would show, like all these big animals. And I'm like, Barney, you and your big personality, man. Like, so for him to come.
He says, I can take him on.
I can take him on. I got it, you know? And so when I dreamt about him the 2 nights after, I was like, okay, that's him letting me know his energy's fine. He's in a better place. He's all around me. I do believe that, you know, I believe that the energy is never just goes away, you know, so.
I had in my book, this is so interesting. I think it got cut out because I had to reconfigure the bird section, but I did research cardinals and I can't remember if it's still in the book or if it's not in the book, but one of the qualities of cardinals is that they often show up for people as the spirits of their loved ones who have passed. And I just got a hit when you said those 6 cardinals. Have you had 6 dogs in your life?
I haven't had 6 dogs. I had 3 cats and Barney would have been my 6th pet that was like really mine.
Okay,
so he was my 3rd dog. Yeah.
Yeah.
But my 6 is my number 2. So it's.
Oh my God. So I'm wondering, it's like, were all of your past pets coming back to let you know that they got Barney, they've got him, he's good?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I was
That's
kind of
definitely, definitely. And I have like, so I have, my other, like, I had these 3 cats. Me and my ex-husband had 3 of them. And I was telling this story the other day that the one cat was like my main man. I had him for like, 12 years. He was just there through thick and thin. And then we had this other cat. And so this is the main man, this is the cat. And then this one here, Masood, he had passed away. Like he had like some sort of lung trachea issue. Like we had to put him down because he just couldn't breathe, So we made that terrible decision. And then a week later, before I went to bed, Goku, who's this boy, he was sitting there and just talking more than normal and shinier than more than normal and just really very, very like testimony of his life. And out of the corner of my eye, I see Masood, the black cat, run. And I'm like, well, I know he's gone. And the next day after he passed away was the first time we ever saw a bear on our property. And I was like, of course Masood comes back as a bear, you know? And so then
sending the bear messenger, right?
Yeah. And so then the next week, I see Masood run out of the corner of my eye. And I remember telling my ex-husband, I was like, I just saw Masood, but I know that wasn't him. Like the next morning I wake up and Goku was dead on the floor. And I was like, every ounce of me wanted to throw a tantrum, scream, and be really upset about it. But I was just like calm because he was also old and having issues. And I was just like, Masood came to get him. He literally came to get him. And that night, Goku was telling me all about his whole life, how happy he was to be, you know, and he was the house maitre d'. You'd come in, like if a robber had come in, he'd been like, and this is where they keep their valuables. And this is, you know, like that was how he was.
Yeah.
And it was just like, and then the third cat that we had, he developed a urinary tract crystals.
Yeah.
Had never had that before in his whole life. So within a month span, all three of my bonded cats had passed away. I was just like, yeah.
I really think animals have a different perspective on death and life.
Yeah.
They have an inner knowing. I mean, it's not like an animal chooses to die. They want to live their life and have their experiences. But when it's time to go, I think they have a greater acceptance than many people. You know, they're like, hey, I'm going to come back in a new baby body. So easy come and go.
We're gonna find you then. My mother had once told me, and I mean, it'll either be surprising to you, give you chills, or be like, yeah, okay, I get it. She had once told me that she had heard that sometimes animals will take on medical conditions so that we don't have to experience them. I used to have unknown breathing issues, and Masood and Goku both had breathing issues, and I have not had them since they passed away. And so that's
I 100% agree. Yeah. I also think that animals can take the hits for us of negativity, which, you know, we never want them to suffer, but they'll do it out of like love and care for you, like to protect, as a protector and a guardian, you know, that's another thing that can happen with animals as well. Oh my gosh, these stories are amazing, Jamie. Amazing.
And so I've talked to Barney before I go to sleep at night, and I was like laying there the one night, and I was like, you know, and now you're with Stan and Piglet and Goku, Hefe, and Masood, and I just started crying, and I was just like, oh my God, they're all together.
Yeah, I'm telling you, those six cardinals are like, we're all good. We got him.
We are. Yeah.
He's with us. We're all having fun, you know, and I think that is such a beautiful, amazing, magical thing. I mean, aren't those moments just so, I think, awe-inspiring, those moments where we have these really deep, mystical, symbolic, gorgeous, beautiful messages and experiences. I love it so much.
Yeah.
So now, as we kind of wrap up a little bit, I have to go. Oh my gosh, this is another card. Oh my gosh.
This is the new deck I'm working on. So Barney, of course, this is going to be the card, but
oh my gosh.
I was like, okay, he has to be the fool in my new deck. So
I love this. So you did this after he passed?
I did this when we knew that he had lymphoma, and I had been doing the cards just kind of like I was just drawing them as I would do my daily card pull. I would draw a card, and so then I was just like, I didn't want people in the deck, so there's no people, but there's a lot of animals. Like whatever card has animals, there's And I was just like, oh, well, the fool's going to be the dog. Well, the fool's going to be Barney, So then knowing that he was getting close, then I made a bigger one that says the Barney. So that one we have hanging for my little baby.
Oh my gosh. And I also think of that as being like a spell and a beautiful spell that you're casting over him as he's in that transition period. You're saying you're going to have a new beginning, the new beginning and a new, that energy of the fool, all potential. You can stay in spirit as long as you need to refresh your spirit and then come back whenever you're ready to come back. And that so much. What a beautiful gift to give him, right?
Yeah.
A spell to cast on him in
And
that way.
I'm just grateful. One of my best friends is she's an amazing, like, she doesn't do much with it now, but she took a bunch of photos. Like, she's a really good photographer. And so she had taken this photo shoot when he was a puppy, and that was one of the pictures she had taken. And I was just like,
Perfect.
that's the card. Yeah.
Perfect, right? With the stick in his mouth. Oh my gosh,
Stick in his
so
mouth.
adorable, adorable.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have like anything that you would say, like a tip or a trick or insight that you might have about a working with an animal and like in a familiar capacity or a magical capacity, spiritual capacity? Is there anything that you would sort of say about that? Or
I mean, I think for me, it's kind of hard. The line between spiritual and living daily life is very blurred for me, because it's like any animal that I'm with that's in my life gets my attention, even when I'm working, but like my life does revolve around them. So it's like I look in their eyes and you can see when they're sad. You can feel like, so if you're like wanting to know what's wrong with your animal, just listen to them, like look at them. Like those first hits that come is usually what's going on, like I think it's why we were able to catch things so early with him, because I just, when they're off. And if you
yeah,
don't, then maybe you shouldn't have a pet. Like if you're not going to pay attention to what your other living being is doing, and I don't even like to use the term pet, because like he owned us more like I was his pet, but it's just kind of like to work with them is to just include them in things, like he would want to smell things. Like if I was doing something that was magical, he'd always want to smell it. And I'd be like, is this the good one? Like, but
amazing,
mhm.
amazing. Like I mean, like he can almost be a guide
Mhm.
too, and a teacher to
Yeah.
you as well, which is amazing, right?
Yeah.
So good. Um, so I love that. I love the story of Barney. I encourage people to go check out your Instagram to see pictures of
Mhm.
Barney and his when he in his vibrant
Mhm.
physical form. His spirit is still so vibrant, but you can see these cute little adorable basset
Mhm.
hound. Oh my gosh, he is adorable.
He is.
Yeah, I have that, it's like there's, I had that experience in my own basset hound second,
Mhm.
degree of experience. But I think, so if you've had experiences
Mhm.
with bassets, you were definitely going to fall in love with Barney because
I just, yeah, like I said, I never was just like, I always thought I was a pit bull person because that was the first dog that was ever
yeah,
mine, was a pit bull boxer. And then it was like, and so as Tim and I talk about the possibility, like right now we're in the process of buying our home. So it's been the last 2 months has been the most stressful 2 months of our entire life. And I said, after everything's done, then we will welcome another basset. And I was like, are we basset people now? And I'm like on TikTok and I'm just watching basset hound videos. And I was like, oh my God.
Oh my gosh, what's really funny too is I talk in the book about what are like these animals that become your animal kin. They're
Yeah.
your like and you build communities around this. So like, like we come from a long line
Yeah.
of horse people or
Yeah.
we're this you are a basset person now.
I
You
know.
are this is your animal kin.
It's hilarious because I have my pit bulls tattooed on my leg, and I don't have Barney. I tattooed it on Tim, but I was like, I need to get one. I got his
Yeah.
nose print. I think I want to get his nose print, like on a spot
Oh,
where he would like nudge me or something, But I was like, yeah, they're a fun breed. Like they're stubborn. They are very stubborn,
so
but they are
earthy,
so
right?
much fun. Yeah. And you know what? That's probably it, right? Because I need to be grounded. I'm a Gemini sun, Scorpio moon and rising. I have a lot of, I don't have earth in my chart a lot, So it's
Yeah.
like, I need that thing to ground me.
Yeah.
I need the dog to ground me.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that so much. Amazing. Amazing. That
Yeah.
also points out the idea that our familiars can be like a yin and yang for us
Mm-hmm.
that bring us to our balance, that
Mm-hmm.
they can balance out our traits and we can enliven their traits by our kind of
Mm-hmm.
opposites attract or whatever you
Yeah.
want to call it, right? Um, do you have anything like projects, events, anything that's coming up? I know you're working on a deck. What do you have
Mm-hmm.
that's out now or coming out
So
soon
I
or
have like I have a Kickstarter right now, but it's not going to fund. It's fine. It was. I know. I'm just as shocked as everybody else. It's got a day and not even a half, and it's not even, it's like 60%. I was like, whatever. It's my Rider Waite deck, my version of that. Yeah. I was like, I'll do a second run next year. I have the pocket edition of the Out of Hand Tarot. So that we are still waiting for them to show up. We had to get the decks reprinted because they were blurry. I don't even want to go into it. But they'll be here. I have those pre-orders available on my website. But yeah, I'm working on the Felt Tarot, which is just carving my way through them. I had one card left to draw, but I have 36, I think, more to do in Felt. So that'll be coming out next year. Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing. So good. And where's the website where they can find all these fabulous things?
I make it really easy to find me. It's just jamiesawyer336.com. You can go on Etsy if you want, same, but you're going to pay more on Etsy. So I always say go to my website, which is just jamiesawyer336.com. And, you know, if you want this one, we're almost sold out of these decks. This is my Lenormand. So this will be the last time I print that one. But yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm always up to something, you know,
I know you're just, I mean, you really are that, to me, that amazing. You say you're Gemini.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not surprised because you're always producing, creating, and multiple things. And I'm like, how does she do all of how? Wait, what?
Are you familiar at all with? I know. Yes. Are you familiar at all with human design?
Yeah.
I'm a manifesting generator.
Oh my gosh, so, absolutely 100%.
So that whenever I've done like classes with my friend Kyla, I'll go on her, you know, her platform, and she's always like, because we do like deck classes and stuff that I'll speak on, and she's like, now Jamie bends time, so I don't want you to think your timeline is the same. Like I literally started drawing the Felt Tarot July 22nd. I'm working on my last card right now. It's just how my brain works. It obsesses and loops on a project until I'm done, and then I can go to, you know, so yeah.
Oh God, you're amazing. You always, I think everybody is astounded in the tarot community. We're also astounded at how prolific, how amazingly prolific you are, which is fun to watch. It's amazing. This is why I delight in Geminis, because they're like little fairies, just making magic.
We just split here and do here.
Exactly, right? Aren't you? Yeah. Aren't you? Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Jamie.
Thank you for having me.
I want to thank everybody who stuck around and watched and who is watching the recording. This recording is going to be up on TikTok as well as YouTube, where it will live forever. But please, let's edit out that beginning fumble stumble that I was doing.
It's okay.
You can't. The Love Witch will wave her wand and bippity boppity boo that away. I'm looking forward. I don't even have my next one on the link. I wasn't not prepared. But anyway, we'll be doing more of these. We'll be doing more of these. I can tell you by looking at my calendar. Let me look at my calendar. The next one I will be doing will be on Thursday with, let's see, Courtney Weber on Thursday, Halloween. No, that's not my next one. Stephanie Buscema is my next one. She's going to be on Wednesday at 12 p.m. Pacific, and then Courtney will be on Halloween. So the 30th will be Stephanie Buscema, the creator of the Silver Acorn Tarot, and then Courtney Weber, amazing author, witch, and creator, will be on the 31st. So I hope you guys will join me for that. And you can find all the details about what times by looking at my Instagram. And I want to remind everybody, if you want to make magic with your special animals, check out The Witch's Guide to Animal Familiars. It's coming in January 2025, but you get tons of bonuses if you pre-order, and pre-ordering doesn't even cost anything. It's just saying, I commit to buying this book when it comes out. So it's like promising that you're going to buy it. And if you do that, you can join me for a free $40 workshop and a bunch of other bonuses that are coming in the next few months. So I just encourage you to do that. Go to animalfamiliars.com or go to parlorwonders.com. You'll find the link right at the top of the page about how to get those bonuses. Thanks again, Jamie. You are the best. I can't wait to see you at the next tarot thing. We always
know.
Yeah.
I'm coming out of my hibernation this year. So
are you going to be at Reader Studio in spring?
I will see. Possibly. I know. I would love to. Like I said, we're trying to buy the house right now, so that's literally all I can think about. So,
true.
But
you got enough on your plate.
I'm
on Gemini girl.
Coast, so I have no excuse, right?
Yeah.
But I Yeah.
And
I'd
it's
love to see you.
amazing. It's
Yeah.
amazing, you know, and I'm gonna be there and we'll have an amazing time together. So I hope I
Yay.
see you there, but if not there, I'll see you at Northwest Tarot or some
Yeah.
other tarot thing, I'm sure.
Perfect.
Thanks again, everyone, for hanging out and watching, and we'll see you later
Next.
on this week when we do some more. All right, bye bye.
Bye.